This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good Tuesday morning. Always a pleasure.
All right, John Brummett, let's begin with the heartbreaking loss to Texas A&M over the weekend. You've even devoted a whole column to it, as it might be up there in your top three most heart-wrenching, gut-checking losses there. Are you going to recover? Do I need to send a bottle of wine over to your house? What do I need to do to help you rebound?
Well, to specifically answer your question, yes, send over a good bottle of wine. Yeah, do that. What else did you ask? Oh, I'm kidding. I'm fine. But I was inspired to tell a pure Arkansas story of Razorback football obsession that was ingrained in one that, as a kid, and it's an Arkansas Razorback fan story. It's kind of like the old Cubs or Red Sox stories. You know, it's just one of poetic frustration. And I tried to wax a little poetically frustrated today and thought it might connect with some readers. I hope that it did.
All right. Maybe a good victory over Alabama will make you feel a lot better about it all.
Do not get hopes up on that, please. Do not do that.
All right, let's talk some politics. We have, over the last week, since you and I last sat down and talked, the Arkansas Supreme Court has decided that the votes will count for recreational marijuana. So issue 4 will be on the ballot and will be counted. What was your takeaway from the opinion that was rendered on that? There were a couple of dissenting opinions in there too. Did the Supreme Court get it right?
I think so. I think that we've thrown a lot of things off the ballot over time, and usually I agreed with it because the ballot title wasn't sufficient and or misled. In this case, this new body inserted to try to pass on the sufficiency, the Board of Election Commissioners, they went too far in saying this detail, which is important, but it's not essential to put that detail in the ballot title in order to have a sufficient presentation of the amendment. Nothing misleads. And they said, let the voters decide. The motto of the state is the people rule. You've got to let the people rule. So I thought they got it right. Somewhat interesting to me is that the petition said, please restore this to the ballot because the Board of Election Commissioners does not have a constitutional right, in part because the Board of Election Commissioners doesn't have this right to pass on sufficiency of the ballot title. And the Supreme Court said, and we grant that petition. Did they just declare the Board of Election Commission law unconstitutional? Did they put them out of business? Lawyers are telling me maybe, probably, but they didn't say it. So I don't know if they're leaving themselves some wiggle room, or if the Board of Election Commission should, under this current law, convene next time and presume to pass on ballot titles. But, you know, it was an interesting thing to leave unattended. And it was it's a well-presented amendment. Lawyers did a good job anticipating what the Supreme Court would be looking for. And we're going to get to vote on it. And your poll, Roby, always citing your polls, 58.5%. Am I remembering correctly?
That is correct. Yeah.
And this was a week or two ago. Said they favored it. You want to ask me if I think that's going to change? I think it's going to change. I think it's going to tighten up. I think that we're going to hear a lot about whether this thing is too open-ended, that we're relying on regulation that we can't be confident of. We're going to hear from the Family Council about the opportunity for drug cartels to get involved, and we're going to hear all kinds of things. And I think people are going to give it a more serious consideration now. And I think, in fact, and I say in tomorrow's column, Sarah Sanders and Chris Jones is not the big thing on the ballot right now. I think we're going to have a lot of money spent between now and then on this issue, and it's going to occupy a lot of voter attention.
Back to a point that you made earlier in that Supreme Court decision there, I have been hearing from several legislators that think that the whole process needs to once again be visited, that we need to be challenging these ballot titles before these signatures are collected because of the expense of collecting all of that, that we may see some sort of revision, particularly now that the State Board of Election Commissioners has been called into question as to whether or not they're the definitive body for this. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of ideas floated out there to change this whole petition process once again.
Well, it's for two reasons. One is our legislators, our political establishment has been horrified by some of the things that people have voted for, and they've wanted to make this more. They got another amendment they've referred themselves to. It would take 60% for voter approval to enact one. But yeah, the process beyond that, it's just a mess. And there seems to be a way, there ought to be a way, taking away the issue of whether you want to make it hard to pass these things. There ought to be a way for the process to be clearer and fairer and more efficient. And what you just said, approve ballot titles for submission and court review. I don't know. Could the Supreme Court review something just tentatively, give an advisory opinion? That's done in some states. But this throws that all up for grabs again in the next session.
All right, let's turn our attention. As we are speaking, we're a few hours away from the Arkansas State Senate convening to take up the matter of an ethics charge against Senator Alan Clark. There is a proposal to once again strip him of seniority and committee chairmanship, and basically just give him zero to no power next year other than his vote on the Senate floor and in whatever committee he may serve. We don't know what the outcome of that'll be as we talk, but let's just talk about the whole Senate ethics brouhaha as a whole. Do you think we've seen the last Senate ethics charge for a while? I sense that senators are tired of dealing with this.
I think senators are incredibly tired of dealing with this. That's the primary emotion I hear expressed by them. They're frustrated that the process has become this bogged down and divisive and political. They are personally frustrated with Alan Clark for not just taking his medicine and going away. And I think that's one reason that he said, I'm going to be out of town on these dates. And they said, so what? We're going to rule on this on Tuesday, whether you're here or not. You may be stalling on us. We're ready to end this. And I tend to think that that we'll see a hiatus on these filing of ethics complaints and retaliatory complaints for a while. And while they're revisiting the constitutional amendment process next time, the legislature, the Senate especially, will be revisiting this ethics rule in some way to try to, and also, Roby, the per diem process. We're going to hear about that because Alan Clark's not wrong about everything, even if he's being retaliatory. Do we need to pay these guys on weekends during sessions for per diem? Do we? Are some senators getting more per diems than they should when they make one trip to town and stay for 2 or 3 meetings over the week? I'm not saying that happens, but I've heard it might. One thing that's been greatly exposed in this whole process is that this per diem thing looks kind of like a legislator's cookie jar. So we got a lot of things just in our first 2 items here, Roby, that are going to be issues for coming legislative sessions. The next one, that is.
Let's flip our attention to national politics. The January 6th committee hearings begin again this week. Is there anything that you could see or hear that's going to shock you, or that you think is going to change the trajectory of what they have done so far? Is there anything that they may put out there or reveal that you think changes voter attitudes?
Well, if I saw something shocking coming, then it wouldn't be shocking, would it? I don't see anything shocking coming, but that's what would make it shocking if it came, you know? So I don't know. What I can only respond in the way that's occupying my brain right now. I think this is a perilous time for the January 6th Commission. They had a highly choreographed, but strong and well-told and compelling narrative that unfolded a few months ago through July. They were hot. They were using Republican, brave, honorable Republican sources to tell the story about how awful this event was and how utterly complicit Donald Trump was. But then came the August recess, then they go home. Now they're going to hop back in, 1st of October, basically. And it looks like maybe it's politically timed to let's bring this back up again politically. And there is a great risk, I think, of an anticlimax, of not having anything that advances the narrative, thus appearing to be an anticlimax that could have that could be a political, could lose all the political momentum that was created before. So I'm interested to know at this point, have you heard are they going to have who's up next? Who's going to testify? Where are they going? That thing I read this morning said, maybe it was from yesterday, they're trying to figure out of all this avalanche of things they could do, what they're going to bring up. Well, I'd like, they need to know already, and they need to be ready to continue their story, not continue their story, advance the story. If it bogs down now, that's a problem, political problem for the Democrats, I think.
All righty, John.
Not that it's going to bog down. I don't know. Maybe I'll be shocked with something.
Well, I'd like to see you be shocked by Arkansas beating Alabama. I'm going to jinx it once again.
I would be shocked. I would be shocked. I would. All right.
He's John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Always good to get his take. Thanks for being with us.
All right. Bye-bye.